In 2001, a strange piece of footage began circulating out of Redlands, California. A clip that many claimed showed something truly inhuman captured inside a historic property known as the Barton Villa. Long before YouTube or social media as we know it today, the video still managed to spread rapidly online, passed from forum to forum as viewers debated what they were really seeing. The recording runs for roughly 20 minutes and follows a small group of friends who decide to enter the abandoned mansion while it was sitting vacant, curious about the rumors that had surrounded it for years. At first, their exploration seems like any other late-night urban adventure. They move around the exterior of the property while there's still some light left in the sky, the mood uneasy but manageable. Once darkness fully sets in, they make their way inside. The atmosphere shifts immediately, not because anything obvious happens, but because the silence of the empty house feels heavy. Floorboards echo. Shadows stretch longer than they should. Up to this point, it's unsettling, but explainable. That changes the moment they head upstairs. Take a look.
Cover my back, all right. What the hell's that? That on the floor. Right there. Oh, shit! Oh, no! Yeah.
Oh, go. Yeah, go. Swear to God.
Fuck!
Go. No.
Someone's in there?
Swear to God. Swear to God.
Oh, shit. Hell yeah.
You guys are lying!
We're not kidding.
No.
Go left. Go. Hit the gas and go.
I can't see your freaking cameras in my way!
Oh, fuck.
You guys are lying! Someone help!
No, fuck!
After reaching the top of the staircase, the camera captures something standing beyond the doorway. A towering silhouette, illuminated by what appears to be a dim, lantern-like glow. The figure's height is what immediately stands out. It seems so tall that it has to lower itself slightly beneath the frame of the door. Its posture doesn't look natural. Its proportions don't look human. And the way it remains there, almost motionless, is what makes the moment feel so disturbing. For years, there had been whispers about strange gatherings and cult-like activity tied to that location. Local legend claimed that something dark lingered on the second floor of the property, something not meant to be disturbed. The creators of the video never publicly admitted to staging the encounter, and that silence has only fueled the debate ever since. So what do you think this was? An elaborate hoax before viral fame was even a goal, or something far harder to explain? Whether it's up to you to decide, I'm also curious what you think about this next case. Quick interruption. If you're enjoying this video, why not hit that subscribe button? We're on a mission to hit 500,000 subscribers, and when we do, 3 lucky fans will win a limited edition CreepyVids hoodie or shirt. Right now, 61.4% of you watching haven't subscribed yet. It's completely free, and your support helps us make even more awesome videos. So, don't miss out. Subscribe now, and let's get back to the video. Years ago, the Bureau of Land Management released a public safety film titled Stay Out and Stay Alive, warning viewers about the hidden dangers inside abandoned mines. Unstable tunnels, collapsing shafts, leftover explosives, toxic air, and wildlife that has made those dark spaces its home. But what made the message especially powerful wasn't just the list of risks. It was the real incident they shared, along with chilling footage recovered from a group who had learned those dangers the hard way. On July 4th, 1998, a group of young men in Nevada came across an abandoned mine and decided to explore it simply for the thrill of it. From the very beginning, there's a sense that they understood they were making a reckless decision.
You see Briz pointing out, stay alive. It's a good point, but we're not too smart, so we're gonna go anyway.
This is an unsafe mine. Danger.
Even so, the temptation of venturing somewhere untouched for decades was stronger than their hesitation. As they pushed deeper into the tunnels, the conditions grew more unstable. They crossed fragile wooden planks suspended over open shafts and continued forward despite clear warning signs that sections of the mine had already begun to collapse.
If you look at all this, there's lots of rocks and stuff that have fallen from the ceiling, which indicates that probably a good idea to be walking this way. And,
Well, they've already fallen, so they're not gonna fall again.
well, there's more to fall still.
What's important to remember is that this wasn't a trained crew with safety gear or experience. This was a group of teenagers chasing an adrenaline rush and documenting it as they went.
Yeah, we gotta remember where we're... Okay, we got out here.
Who painted these X's and stuff? Grant.
What do they mean?
Dead ends and stuff.
Okay, they're all got an X on.
We can go this way.
That one's got an X. But it's also got that. What does the diamond mean?
Where's that go?
Goes down.
Along there.
Ooh, that's not a little.
Well, it'd be kind of hard if you slipped and fell. You could catch yourself before you actually fell down there.
Not if panic set in and you spin like a little girl.
Every step forward increased the odds of disaster. A sudden drop into a vertical shaft, disorientation inside miles of twisting passages, or exposure to unseen gases that could silently overwhelm them. Against all odds, they managed to avoid those threats long enough to reach a section that would prove even more dangerous.
Got some pipes. Oh, wow. We have to climb that?
Yeah, don't everybody get up. I got it. You're gonna be the lucky one to fall.
This is going to America's Funniest when somebody falls.
That's a good idea. Alrighty. Oh, that's the table. Don't touch that.
While navigating a particularly unstable area, one of them noticed a rope hanging from an old wooden beam, disappearing into darkness below. Curiosity took over almost instantly.
Down to the main shaft.
Wow, so we're climbing down this rope.
Yeah. How far down?
How are we getting out of it?
Climbing up it.
I see.
None of them had serious climbing experience, yet that didn't slow them down. A young man named Adam volunteered to go first. What happened next unfolded in seconds.
How far down does it go?
All the way down to that ladder. See where it's going down?
We're
Like a good 30 feet.
Where am I gonna hook this
I'll go
camera?
first. I am first.
About 300 feet. You don't like to break out. You don't like to... Put it like he's doing it into your mouth. That. It's all like this. Is it off now?
It's not. How am I gonna get this thing down there? Yeah, but how am I gonna get back up? I don't have.
Take good. Give you my belt straight on.
Adam! Oh!
Adam!
Oh!
Adam!
Yes.
Adam!
Oh, God. Oh, God. Somebody help.
Adam!
The rope he relied on, aged, worn, and weakened by time, snapped shortly after taking his full weight. Adam fell approximately 65 feet into the shaft below, striking the sides as he dropped before landing unconscious in the darkness. It was pure luck that his injuries were not immediately fatal. He was still breathing. His friends managed to locate an exit and alert authorities. After roughly an hour-long rescue effort, emergency responders were able to reach Adam and bring him back to the surface. The outcome could have been far worse. The shaft may have been deeper. He could have suffered a fatal head injury on the way down. And if the rope had failed while another person was descending, the entire group might have become trapped with no way to call for help. In the end, they walked away with broken bones, cuts, and bruises, injuries that served as permanent reminders of how close they had come to something irreversible. What happened that night wasn't bravery or adventure. It was a near tragedy and a stark example of why some places are abandoned for a reason. If you found this case unsettling, then brace yourself for what comes next. On help. Leaving the mother with the vehicle, he and his young son began walking in search of a payphone. Along the shoulder of the highway, the boy spotted something unusual, a camouflage jacket lying discarded in the dirt. Curiosity drew him closer. As he examined it, he noticed an unmarked VHS tape partially sticking out of one of the pockets. He took it with him. Later, back at home, the family decided to see what was on the tape. They placed it into their VHS player and pressed play, unaware they were about to watch something deeply disturbing. The originals have helped piece together what it contained. The footage begins at night, the camera aimed at a massive blaze. Flames tear through a structure in the darkness, while the person behind the lens can be heard speaking in a calm yet ominous tone.
Look at the fire. This is my domain. My hell.
As the camera shifts focus, the source of the fire becomes clearer.
Good night, ladies and gentlemen. Your house is next.
Without warning, the tape cuts to a scene from the 1984 horror film A Nightmare on Elm Street. Whether the arson footage was recorded over the movie or intentionally edited that way remains unclear. But one thing seemed evident. The individual filming the blaze was almost certainly responsible for starting it. The family turned the tape over to authorities and explained exactly where they had found it. Investigators returned to the roadside tape of metal music and a ceramic skull. After reviewing the VHS themselves, officers described it as unlike anything they had encountered before.
I've never run across anything as eerie as this tape. Frightened me, as a matter of fact. I thought about it that night when I went to bed.
Unfortunately, the grainy quality and chaotic movement of the footage made it nearly impossible to identify the location of the fire. Even the repeated references to evil and hell in the recording led some to suspect possible ties to satanic motivations, a theory that, in the late 1980s, carried more weight due to widespread fears at the time. Still, without solid evidence, it remained speculation. With few options left, authorities brought the case to national television, featuring it on Unsolved Mysteries in September 1990. The response was immediate. Within 2 hours of the broadcast, over 1,000 calls flooded in with potential leads. Among those callers was a man named Ed Tarantino, who recognized the burning structure from the footage. It was in Redwood City, California, roughly 80 miles west of where the tape had been discovered. The episode also led investigators to Bill Otherly, the owner of the home under construction that had burned. He described the act as senseless destruction.
And turned up, it's my house that's on the videotape. And then you heard the voice of this individual. And you go, this guy ain't playing with a full deck.
The financial loss was staggering. The fire had destroyed a nearly completed property valued at $900,000, equivalent to approximately $2.5 million today. The Redwood City Fire Department confirmed the incident and revealed that they had recorded their own footage for training purposes. Portions of their video matched the mysterious tape almost exactly. By comparing the two recordings, investigators determined that the person filming had been standing just about 50 feet from firefighters while they battled the blaze. The fire itself had occurred in August of 1988, nearly a year before the tape was found. The only clue to the suspect's identity was a name spoken during the recording. It led nowhere. Then another viewer came forward after watching the television broadcast. Doris Lance suggested that the name might refer to a 17-year-old local boy. When brought in for questioning, he quickly admitted involvement. Omar claimed he had been present during the filming, but insisted that his 19-year-old friend had set the fire and recorded the tape. Police began monitoring the alleged arsonist, gathering further evidence before making an arrest. But shortly after surveillance began, his garage mysteriously burned down, escalating suspicions. On September 27, 1990, authorities confronted the 19-year-old directly. Like Omar, he confessed. Because both were minors when many of the fires occurred, they were tried as juveniles. Investigators uncovered extensive evidence linking them not only to the Redwood City incident, but to at least 11 additional structural fires and 15 Please No More houses, newspaper clippings about recent arson attacks, and disturbing personal recordings. In the remains of the burned garage, authorities also discovered knives and other unsettling materials. Some tapes reportedly showed theatrical behavior, including the suspect posing in dark costumes, while other clips were more ordinary. One segment captured the two boys laughing together in an open field.
And now, to finish the job.
That field, investigators later learned, was slated for housing development. Omar was sent to juvenile detention. The older teen was deemed mentally unwell and committed to a psychiatric institution. What happened to them after that remains largely unknown. There have been unverified claims suggesting that the older suspect later died in a 2017 hit-and-run incident in Redwood City, though no official confirmation has tied that report directly to the case. And as for the VHS tape itself, no one has ever been able to explain how it ended up discarded on the side of an interstate highway, waiting to be discovered by a curious child. Now we shift to another case that raised even more questions. On August 23, 1987, what began as a regular hike turned into a chilling discovery for two backpackers trekking south of the Junco Lake trailhead near the quiet town of Tabernash, Colorado. The serene mountain landscape held a dark secret. Scattered among the trees was the wreckage of a crashed plane. Pieces of metal lay strewn across the forest floor, remnants of a tragedy that had gone unnoticed for years. The hikers immediately contacted the authorities, triggering a full-scale investigation into the mysterious crash. Among those responding was Colorado Deputy Sheriff Dale Wood, who meticulously combed through the debris. As he moved through the wreckage, something unusual caught his eye: a VHS tape hanging from the branches of a tree. The tape was damaged, its contents partially exposed and tangled among the leaves, but Wood collected what he could and handed it over to experts for restoration. When the footage was finally played back, it revealed a haunting glimpse into the final moments of two men who had vanished 3 years earlier. The men were identified as 36-year-old pilot James Jeb Codell and his passenger, Ronald Hugh Willman. On August 10, 1984, they departed from Granby Airport in a small Cessna L-9E Bird Dog aircraft, intending to reach Jeffco Airport. However, they never arrived, and despite extensive search efforts, no trace of the plane or its passengers had been found, until now. One of the mysteries surrounding their disappearance was the failure of the plane's emergency locator transmitter, a device designed to broadcast the aircraft's location in the event of a crash. Strangely, no signal had ever been received, leaving rescuers with no clues during the original search. The discovery of the plane wreckage and the VHS tape was the first break in the cold case. The footage began innocuously enough. The camera recorded the pilot's casual observations as they flew over the Colorado landscape.
Oh, look at that down there, Ronnie, on the left. Nice little lake and a cabin. Those dead trees down there. There are a whole bunch of them back up in here, those beetles. Very pretty little lake.
However, just 5 minutes into the tape, the situation took a grim turn. The plane's altitude seemed to drop rapidly, and the camera captured the ground looming ever closer. Investigators later analyzed the footage to determine what had gone wrong. They concluded that Codell had failed to properly account for the density altitude, a critical aviation factor that measures the thickness of the air. At high altitudes, or in hot and humid conditions, the air becomes thinner, reducing a plane's performance. Pilots need to adjust their calculations for takeoff and flight under such conditions, but it appeared Codell had miscalculated. On the day of the crash, the density altitude around Tabernash was equivalent to 13,000 feet, while the mountains they were approaching rose to 10,200 feet above sea level. The thin air reduced the plane's lift capability, and Codell's attempts to pull up only caused the engine to stall. The footage captured the chaos as the plane flipped over and crashed into the trees. The VHS also shed light on why the emergency transmitter never activated. When the plane flipped, the ELT was damaged, preventing it from sending a distress signal. This malfunction meant that, despite the original search efforts, the crash site had remained hidden for nearly 3 years. Though the crash was a tragedy, James Codell's family made a remarkable decision. They authorized the footage to be used in pilot training, hoping that it might prevent future accidents. By allowing others to learn from this harrowing event, they believed that sharing this footage could potentially save lives, serving as a stark reminder of how crucial it is to account for every factor when navigating the skies. While the mystery of the missing plane was finally solved, the discovery left a lasting impact on all those involved. For the backpackers, the deputy sheriff, and the aviators who would later learn from the footage, the Tabernash plane crash remains a sobering tale of how quickly a routine flight can turn into a catastrophe. And you're about to see that as well in this next case. On the afternoon of September 30th, 2019, at precisely 4:06 p.m., the Anchorage Police Department in Alaska received a disturbing call. The caller, 47-year-old Valerie Kassler, claimed to have stumbled upon potential evidence of a horrific crime while walking along Fairbank Street. She had found an SD card lying on the ground, and upon picking it up, she noticed the chilling words written on it. Homicide at Midtown Marriott. At first, she assumed it might be related to an obscure horror film. However, nothing could have prepared her for the nightmare that awaited when she viewed the card's contents. According to official reports, the SD card contained 39 images and 12 videos, all capturing the terrifying events of a brutal crime scene inside a hotel room. The videos depicted a woman being subjected to unimaginable horrors. While the perpetrator remained off camera, his distinct voice and unmistakable accent were captured in the footage. Though these videos were never publicly released, the chilling voice behind the camera was quickly identified as belonging to Brian Stephen Smith.
Through those trees, you'll see the doctor's house. He's like a heart surgeon or brain surgeon or something. There's the other neighbors. And there's the tree in front of the house. And there's the other neighbors.
Smith, who had already called the Anchorage police a few days earlier to report stolen belongings, became the prime suspect as soon as investigators recognized his voice on the recordings. The familiarity of his voice to law enforcement proved to be a critical breakthrough in the case. Adding to the mounting evidence, Valerie also recognized the distinctive carpet pattern seen in the footage. It matched the interior of the Town Place Suites by Marriott, located only a 5-minute walk from where the SD card had been discovered. When the police visited the hotel, records confirmed that Brian had checked in on the very day the disturbing videos were recorded. Further investigation revealed unsettling details about Brian Stephen Smith's background. Originally from South Africa, Smith had gained U.S. citizenship less than a year before the crime. At the time of the incident, he was employed as a manager at another Marriott hotel in Anchorage. Sadly, the investigation also led to the discovery of the remains of his victim, a 30-year-old Alaskan native named Kathleen Jo Henry. When the SD card was found, Brian had already left Alaska on vacation with his wife. However, law enforcement was swift in their actions. He was arrested immediately upon landing back at the Anchorage airport and was subsequently charged with more than 13 felonies related to his heinous actions. Despite pleading not guilty, the evidence against Brian was overwhelming. But as the trial approached, Valerie Kassler's testimony threatened to complicate the case. Initially, she had claimed to have found the SD card on the street by chance. In reality, Valerie had been hired by Brian as an escort, and during her visit, she had stolen his phone. While attempting to clear the device, she stumbled upon evidence of his horrifying crimes. Not wanting to involve herself in the unfolding nightmare, she transferred the files to an SD card and crafted the story of finding it on the roadside. Fortunately, the prosecution's case against Brian was solid enough to withstand this new twist. In July of 2023, he was convicted and sentenced to 226 years in prison. While nothing could undo the suffering Kathleen endured, her family could finally find solace in knowing that the person responsible would spend the rest of his life behind bars, paying for his monstrous deeds. If this case shook you, take a breath. The next one is even more difficult to process. On the night of May 27, 2018, 20-year-old Spencer Mugford met up with his friend Sophia McKenna in the parking lot at the University of Connecticut's Avery Point campus, where Spencer was a student. Sophia had been navigating a turbulent and reportedly abusive relationship with a man named Austin Cordova, a situation that had intensified in the months leading up to that night. According to Sophia's mother, tensions escalated after both Sophia and Austin began seeing other people. At one point, Austin allegedly showed up at her apartment and attempted to force his way inside, making threats that deeply frightened her. Not long after, Sophia began spending more time with Spencer, whom she had met while working at a local spa. The two briefly dated before deciding they were better off as friends. A few weeks later, Spencer had started working on a charter fishing boat, taking groups out for half-day trips. That night in May, the two friends decided to take a small, mastless sailboat from the university campus and head toward the New London Ledge Lighthouse, a historic structure sitting alone in the water, often described as one of Connecticut's eeriest landmarks. Just after 1 a.m., Sophia used Spencer's phone to post a video to his Snapchat story showing him paddling across the dark water.
Yo, we're out here in the ocean with us. That is the land. Like, we still have to get to there. Wait, where? Oh, we're almost there.
In the clip, she turns the camera toward the distant shoreline, joking about how far they still had to go. The mood appears light. There's no sign of distress. They seem relaxed, two friends chasing a late-night adventure. Around 2 a.m., after reaching the lighthouse, Spencer posted a photo of Sophia standing in front of a no trespassing sign. That image would be the last confirmed sighting of either of them. The following day, Austin contacted Sophia's mother, Michelle, expressing concern because he hadn't heard from Sophia despite having plans together. That's when Michelle noticed several missed calls from an unfamiliar number between 2:05 a.m. and 2:09 a.m. When she returned the call, she realized it was coming from Spencer's phone. Alarmed, she reported her daughter missing. By 6 p.m. that evening, the Coast Guard had launched an official search. Investigators discovered Sophia's car still parked at the university lot, with her phone inside, explaining why she had used Spencer's phone earlier that night. At the dock near the lighthouse, they found Spencer's shirt tied to a boat cleat, suggesting it had been used to secure the sailboat. But the boat itself was gone. Meanwhile, Austin and his father conducted their own search by air. During their flight, they located the overturned sailboat near Truman's Beach on Long Island's North Shore, roughly 13 miles from the lighthouse. Reports indicated that unidentified fingerprints were recovered from the vessel, though they were never publicly analyzed. On May 28th, just one day after the disappearance, the Coast Guard suspended its search due to worsening weather conditions. 11 days later, on June 8th, a fisherman discovered Spencer's body floating in the ocean, in the opposite direction from where the overturned boat had been found. Toxicology reports showed alcohol and THC in his system. The official cause of death was ruled accidental drowning, with no signs of foul play. But Sophia was still missing. On July 22, 2018, a Facebook group titled Finding Sophia McKenna was created, bringing together strangers determined to piece together what happened. Many questioned how quickly the search had ended, why Spencer's phone records were never fully released, and why the fingerprints on the sailboat were not further examined. Others wondered why Sophia hadn't called 911 during what must have been a terrifying moment. Suspicion quickly turned toward Austin, given the history of conflict. Some theorized he may have somehow been involved in Spencer's death and Sophia's disappearance. However, as of August 2024, no concrete evidence supports that claim, and even Sophia's mother has publicly stated she does not believe Austin was responsible. The prevailing theory among investigators is that the sailboat may have drifted loose during the night. Spencer may have entered the water in an attempt to retrieve it and drowned in the process. What happened to Sophia afterward remains uncertain. It's possible she fell into the water while trying to help him. It's also possible she was alone at the lighthouse, panicking, unsure what to do, and afraid to call authorities because they had been trespassing. More speculative theories have circulated online, including claims that a passing boater may have encountered Sophia after Spencer drowned, leading to something far more sinister. Others suggested a confrontation between the two friends, but there's no solid evidence supporting either scenario. What remains is a haunting sequence of events. A late-night adventure, a drifting boat, a series of unanswered calls, and a lighthouse standing silent in the dark. Spencer's death was ruled an accident. Sophia McKenna, however, has never been found. And years later, the water still holds its secrets. That's all for today, folks. If you want to see more of this creepy content, click on the video on screen.